that they don't qualify deals out quickly enough. All right, so Gary, this is what I want to talk about today. I know I definitely have an opinion on this, but I wanted to ask you, from your perspective and your opinion, what is the number one self-inflicted wound that salespeople tend to do to themselves? What do they do that they don't have to do that causes them grief, heartache, losing sleep at night, and all those other things?
It's sort of funny that you asked the question because it seems every time you do a workshop, you meet with a sales team, something always bubbles to the surface, and you wonder sometimes if it's just something to do with the sales organization itself. But I think, and again, this is my opinion, I think the number one self-inflicted wound, even for an experienced salesperson, is allowing themselves to become single-threaded in an opportunity with a low level person. They're hoping against hope that this person is going to do everything that they think needs to get done, and then they surprise themselves. They're weeks or months into it, and they find out, and they knew it in the beginning.
Yeah.
That this person, they can't buy
Yeah,
anything, and they're not going to get anything done.
they get the inbound lead, right? The web lead
Yeah,
or whatever the case may
that's
be,
right.
and they're like a dog with a bone, right? They just want to they take it
Oh,
and shake it
sure.
and don't want to let it go.
Oh yeah, the fish are jumping in the boat. Oh, this person must be really interested. They called me. Well, guess what? You could get those all day long. Low-level people, senior executives that are going to spend the money that you want them to spend, and not calling up salespeople and say, "Hey, let's talk about it."
Right.
You know, and they allow themselves, and again, just because I think they're happy to have anybody to talk
Yeah,
to.
and I think that I guess the one that I would say something kind of along the same lines, um, but it's more. I think it's one of the contributing. What you just mentioned is one of the contributing factors to what I was going to say is that they don't qualify deals out quickly enough, right?
Sure.
That
Yeah.
they, like you said, they get this inbound ping from a low level person who needs a purchase order to buy a box of paper clips, and they spend a week, 2 weeks, a month, whatever the case may be, sending them emails, giving them a proposal, trying to talk them into
Yeah.
an online demo, all this other stuff. And like you said, if the person even gives them the time, then uh, they never bother to ask to get access to other people. And then all of a sudden the deal just disappears into the ether. The guy or woman stops returning the
Right.
emails and they can't figure out what happened. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you call it single threaded. I absolutely agree with that. I think that it all falls under kind of that umbrella of qualification.
Sure. Well, let me throw out three others to you. And I mean,
Okay.
let's just kick them around for fun. The other one, I think, besides being single threaded with a low level person, they want to go fast. In other words, they're in a hurry to close business, and I understand
Yep.
it. But as a result, they don't have the conversations that they need to have. They don't, like you said, negotiate access to the people that they really need to speak with. So they go fast. The conversation, if they even have one, is shallow, right? Just enough information to make themselves feel good about what it is that they're doing. And then the third thing, and you said they never qualify them out, but they try to qualify them in by asking these three stupid questions. What's your budget? What's your timeline? And when would you like to see the demonstration? And I almost want to shoot people when I hear that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because I don't know where it comes from,
Well, it's the
but
old
it
it's the
seems,
old BANT,
oh,
right? Budget, authority, need, and timeline.
yeah,
That's that's what they. And it's sad to say, but that's what they're still teaching people in
yes,
school and in a lot of sales programs as to what constitutes a qualified opportunity. When
sure.
like let's talk about budget. As you and I both know, if you get
Jeez.
to the right people, like in my house, if my wife decides she wants something, the budget is really kind of academic, right?
Yes.
It's an exercise of something I try to put in place to try to control the spending. But once the person with the real power decides they want it, that budget all of a sudden gets really negotiable.
Well, yeah, and I couldn't agree more. And again, when you do workshops and people start talking about budget, I say to them, look, I didn't budget to buy a water heater. But if my wife calls me and says the water heater just exploded and now I have to buy a new water heater, guess
Yep,
what? I'll find the money for the new water
that's
heater.
right.
Right? So, budget it controls spending, but it's not all of the money that someone has,
Yeah,
right? And you'll spend it when you need to spend it,
absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
but there's so many, I know you and I are talking about what we think are the number one, but again, there are just so many things that salespeople inherently do, from old types of training that I just think get them in
All
trouble.
right. Well, let's tee this up for the next episode then. Give me another thing that
Okay.
you think that they do that sets them up for trouble.
Well, asking those three questions: budget, timeline, and when would you like to see the demo?
Okay. So with that, let's wrap up today's session. Okay. And the next time you and I
Okay.
talk, we'll talk about that. The three questions salespeople ask
Okay.
that they
Yeah.
probably
Sure.
shouldn't.